We are here to make people feel good about themselves. We really have to feel like we are a day maker for the guest. You've made my day. How great is that when you hear those words from your guest?
Hello, I'm David Dolce and welcome to the Daymaker Podcast. I have the privilege today of interviewing one of my daymakers and mentors, Larry Foster. Larry Foster, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, David.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing this with us.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Good. So it's true. You're one of the people that motivates me, mentors me. I've learned so much for you, so I can't even imagine a better podcast for you to be on than the Daymaker Podcast. It's great to have some of my daymakers on this too as well. So Larry, what do you do besides everything for Tricoci University?
So I'm officially the Chief Operating Officer. However, I do a little bit of everything. I do education, I do the operations side, but my passion is really all about education.
What got you involved in the beauty industry?
So I think I'm no different than a lot of our students. I think that this is more of a calling. I think most of us have always wanted to do this since we were really young. So I'd say probably the catalyst for me was my aunt was a hairstylist.
Awesome.
So I remember hanging out with her on weekends and things like that, being in her beauty salon, helping her, I'm going to date myself with this, but helping her empty the ashtrays in the dryer chairs and helping her wash her frosting caps and sweeping up hair and all those things. So, but then life kind of happened and I went on a different career path through college, and in my mid-20s realized that I really wanted to be a part of this world. So I went back to school, got my certification in massage, got my certification in SD, and then kind of grew from there.
That's really cool. I've been hearing commonly, like a lot of people that have gotten in this industry, including myself, has had somebody in their past and their family that like inspired them to do that. And that's cool. I like seeing that connection. What skills do you think somebody should possess before starting beauty school?
I think the biggest skill that would make them successful is probably people skills.
I agree.
I think that there are multiple things that a student should kind of focus on when they're in our schools. I think one is building their business, and that incorporates how they treat people. And I think the other thing is building their brand, and right from day one, working with social media, doing the different assignments we have daily, things like that to truly build their book. Because in the real world, we know it takes probably 2 years to build a good solid book behind the chair or in a massage room or SD room or barber chair. You know, why not use that 10 months or more that you're in school to truly build your business? So building your business is another, and then I think remembering your why through school. I think those are the 3 skills you need, because you have to remember why you're in it. Really connect with that passion, because school can get kind of challenging at times, and you know, remembering your passion helps get you through it.
Yeah, I think you hit on the main points, like personality, people skills, customer service is everything. I think that's what made me successful when I had no clients, right? Because I had people skills, so people wanted to come back because I was funny or talked about some crazy thing in my life, or they're telling you about it. And then further down the road, you look, it's been 20 years and you're doing your best friend's hair and you're getting paid for it at that point because you've known them for so long.
You know, I think you're spot on with that, because I remember, you know, when I owned a couple day spas, but one had hair in it. And I used to watch this person who was magical with hair. I could watch him for hours. You know, it was just impressive what he could do with it, with cut, color, things like that. And I wondered why he was never that busy, even though everything he did was magical. But then the person next to him, she was okay with hair, you know, not bad, not great, but her personality was dynamic. And so she was booked solid. She charged more. She, you know, you'd have to wait 4 weeks to get in with her. And I look at the contrast between the two, and I'm like, it's all about personality. People don't buy things, people buy people. So that connection you make with your client is incredibly important.
Yep, there's a reason, I said this before, like why that person's in your chair for the first time. It's because whoever did their hair before or did their facial before, they didn't wow, you weren't memorable to them.
Right.
So there's tons of different beauty schools out there, obviously. We know that. I went for cosmetology to a different school, did teacher training through Tricoci, which now I bleed green. I really believe in Tricoci and what we do. What does Tricoci do to set them apart from other schools?
Well, I think we teach the basics like other schools. You know, the whole objective for beauty school in general is to be able to pass your state boards and get your license, you know, and that license is something that should be valued, right? Because we're licensed by the same people who license doctors and lawyers and nurses, you know, so it's incredibly important to take pride in that. So the important thing, once we get that license, you know, the way we help at Tricoci is we take you beyond those basics. You know, those basics are incredibly important, but we offer things like nano infusion, which is incredibly important with skincare. We do keratin complex. We do hair extensions. We're bringing on airbrush tanning. We want to give you the skills that take you a little bit further. You know, a lot of schools work with one product line. We work with multiple product lines. We want you to feel comfortable because no matter where you go work in the world, you'll understand the shampoos, you'll understand the conditioners. You know, it's not about the name on that bottle, you know, it's about what they do, the performance ingredients. You know, it's not about retailing to your clients, it's about actually educating your clients so they understand why it's important to use salon quality products over what they would buy at a grocery store. You know, so those things are incredibly important. Those are all things we teach. Plus we teach the business building side. You know, we do work a lot with social media because that's incredibly important. That's where our students are today.
I think that is huge. I think like you don't realize it while you're in school, but the business portion of it is almost more important than us teaching you actually how to do hair. Obviously we have to do both, but when I was in beauty school, I was that student. Why do I have to sell your retail? I pay you to go to school here. And then you get a job and they're tracking everybody's progress and what you're doing. And then all of a sudden you have a car payment and you realize you can pay your car payment by making yourself knowledgeable, right, about these products because you earn commission off of it in the real world. So that's one of those moments I go back to my teachers and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. You were right. You were right. You're talking about all the products that we use, the things that we offer. Like I said, I've been talking about the nano infusion with everybody. I just love it. How is, and you've taught me a lot of this, but I'm going to ask you this question. How is vendor relationships important to like what we do?
Oh, it's everything. You know, the relationship with our vendors is incredibly important and it's mutual, right? So I want to give to them as much as they give to us. But the important thing is, what do they bring to the table? You know, they supply a lot of education to our educators, but they also bring it directly to the students themselves. We were the first schools to be able to offer texture mastery with L'Oreal that taught nothing but textured hair. You know, and the fact we could bring that directly into the classroom was huge. And, you know, we work with them. You know, our Beauty Blitz is all about our vendor relations, you know, and that continues to grow every year. Last year we had over 20 vendors. Some of them we don't actually contract with, but they wanted to be a part of it and they wanted to be connected to us and they wanted to be there to support our students, which is major. That's you know, so the vendor relationships are incredibly important.
And I've seen that because we've got to go to different shows, meet people, and it's really opened my eyes to how important it is, seeing the relationships that you've built, that I've built now even, how they respect us, how they want to be part of us. That makes our name big and out there, but the best thing about you is you're so genuine with it. It's not fake, it's not a networking opportunity. Like, you're really building relationships with our vendors, and in return, they're treating us really good.
Right, and you do know that better than anyone because that's how, when we were at the premiere show, that's where we connected with Elizabeth Fay, and that's how we brought the Wellness Project to our students. And you know, that's been huge because talking about the different things that we do that maybe other schools don't, we were the first one to offer that.
I know,
you know, and that
about this
really focuses on the student mental health component, because when you're behind the chair and you're taking on all those conversations where, you know, they've lost family members or they're struggling with their marriage or all those things, you take it upon yourself. And, you know, learning how to ground yourself and how to focus and take those mental wellness breaks to be able to really take care of yourself so you can take care of the clients is incredibly important. And I know that's a passion project for both you and me.
Yep.
So I am really proud of that relationship too. Elizabeth's awesome to work with.
And that's crazy. And I watched that just form organically, just by being genuine with her. And like you said, that is very important to me. I'm glad we do it. It's not even just for the students, it's for our staff, our educators. Everybody can get so much out of that. That's really awesome. So we do a lot with technology, I think, with Tricoci University. For me, it makes me feel like we're more of a state-of-the-art school because it is a constantly changing industry. How do we use technology in our education? How does that play into it?
So I think the biggest thing for us is we try to meet students where they're at. You know, the student of today isn't a textbook student, so we don't use textbooks. You know, we have them available if there's a student who needs to have that touch and that feel of the actual book. But what we predominantly use is their tablet, and everything's hyperlinked. So we can go in, Lauren and our team there will go in and change things on the fly. So if something needs updated, we can update it today. You know, if there's a trend we want to focus on, we can go in and update it today. We don't have to stick to the status quo. So, you know, so we're always trying to stay ahead of the curve. So whether that's within the curriculum or whether that's how a student punches in and out, is that how our student tracks their own time? Those are huge things. So technology is where it's at for our students, and we want to stay ahead with all that.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen it change so much in the 10 years that I've been here. It's constantly changing, and you're like, oh, it's changing again. Of course it is. Technology changes. The curriculum changes. We offer so many things, like you said, the hair extensions, keratin treatments that I never thought that we would do at this school. And then you came along and all your skills and your vendor relations, and now we got all these great things to offer. And yeah, it feels good. It feels really good. What advice do you have for a student on their first day?
On their first day at school? I think be present. I think that's the biggest mistake I see with students is they think it's a beautiful day. We're up here in Chicago today. Maybe they want to go to the beach or hang out with their friends or whatever. But if you be present, if you make this commitment, it's a 9-10 month commitment. Don't spread it out longer than what it needs to be. Be present, because we teach so much. And in that time period you're in school, if you miss just a few hours, you've missed a whole technique.
Yep.
So being present and be there to participate, I think those are huge. I think that's the biggest thing. The other thing is just making sure that you're open, you know, that you're transparent with your staff and your teachers, and really look for those mentors as you go through the program. And then build your book again. I think that's another thing. You know, you want to be able to build connections with industry relations people. So whether that's that platform artist that comes into your school, or whether it's one that you follow on, you know, Instagram, you want to make sure that you're building those connections right from the get-go. So those are all important things from day one to stay focused with. But be here, graduate, and get that license. I think that's the biggest thing.
I love when we have graduates and we're like, give a speech, and every graduate's like, come to school, don't miss any days. They all do. And I like how you mentioned the mentor thing, because everybody does have different personalities, and I was a little rougher when I started school. I didn't really trust all of my educators, but I did have one, and I feel like she's the reason why I'm here today, even because she was my mentor. I trusted her, I believed in her, and having that one person in my life kind of inspired me to be an educator as well. Did you have anybody in your life that inspired you to get into education and do what you do?
I had lots of people. I do have one that I worked with that probably taught me everything. She's no longer with us. She was one of my biggest mentors, and I think of her often. And her name was Margie, and I always think, what would Margie do? You know, so with me being in my current role, I think that's incredibly important. You know, so between her and Teresa and my friend Sabrina and all these people that were really there with me through my journey, whether they're present now or not, I take them with me. And I think that's a huge part of what makes us us, is that we look for those people and we really take to heart what they have to say. And I think there are sometimes that you can even learn from those negative people, right? You can learn what not to do.
100%.
You know, so
yes.
I used to work with someone who was a manager, and I remember how I would get nervous when I'd bring a new employee through, because I would look at them, and if their nails were chipped or their shoes were polished, I tried to quickly get them together. But it taught me through working with him that maybe have a different approach when addressing those things, but those details matter. So it taught me that, but it also taught me how not to address someone with it too. So I think you can learn from those people as much as the good mentors in your life as well.
And you taught me that details matter. So when I go into campuses, my eyes, well, not even campuses, when I'm in a hotel room, and in a restaurant, I'm looking around
in the elevator.
All the details, yes. Those are huge. They're very, very important. We got some signature questions that we like to ask everybody on this podcast. But the first one is, when did you realize that you have the power, because it is a power, to actually make somebody's day?
I don't remember when I realized it, but I do see it on a daily basis, and I think it's a privilege. You know, I think so many of our students, there's a certain percentage that feel invisible or they don't feel supported, you know, and they don't have a lot of cheerleaders in their lives. So for me, it's a matter of just taking the time to be able to help them be seen. So if they want to talk, or even if they don't want to talk, kind of trying to work that out of them so they have that venue. And, you know, life does get in the way, and students sometimes do want to quit. And our job is to say, remember your why. You know, focus on that why. And remember, school is the means to get over all those other obstacles in your life. It is not the obstacle. It's the means to get over them. And that's what we have to focus on with our students. So I think those type of things are what make us us and help us be day makers, is when we can actually look at someone and maybe it's just a simple, hi, how's your day going? Or maybe it's a little bit deeper conversation, but just making someone feel seen, I think, is enough to be a day maker.
It's huge. I think people in a creative industry, well, not the industry, but creative people, you grow up kind of feeling different than everybody. Everything's so rigid and normal, and you don't think you're normal, so you don't think you're right. So getting to come to beauty school and being around these creative people, it's almost like, oh my God, I found my home. Like, it's okay to be me. And I do see that. You're right. A lot of people don't have that cheerleader. We get to be that person for them. And like, yeah, that's what makes me realize that we are day makers, because you watch it in front of you every day. It's beautiful.
It's teaching them that it's okay to color outside the lines. You know, my daughter's an artist. She went to art school for a year and she hated it, you know, but now she's in beauty school. She's in one of our schools and she's loving it. You know, every day I get pictures from her of her hairstyles or her pin curls or whatever she's doing. And it makes my day to see that.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, she's killing it.
She is.
She's great. So how do you think people, so you make their day right at school, how do you think this translates into their personal life, like once they leave our building?
I think hopefully it'll trickle down to their clients, you know, because when you're behind the chair, again, that people relationship is so important, and you will have those people that come in. You know, it's a matter of, even if it's a student who just says they're having an okay day, you know, if I take the time to say, okay, just okay, let's talk about what's the best thing that's happened to you today, and just get them to realize that happy thought, then hopefully they'll take that to their clients. So when that person sits down in their chair and they say, how are you doing? And they say, I'm okay, they can do the same thing. And they can really engage the person and get them to smile by thinking of that, you know, that one standout moment where their day was actually better than they thought it was.
That's great. You actually like answered the last question, really. So it's like, how does that translate into long-lasting relationships and client building? Like, that's it right there. You hit it right on the head. That's very important. The personality, I'm glad we talked about all that. Somebody also told me, like, while you're learning at the beginning, if you could do a great shampoo and a great blow dry, you have a great personality, they'll work with you while you figure out the middle part. And I remember I focused. I'm like, I do a great blow dry, give a great shampoo.
And you definitely bring the personality, so that's good.
Yeah.
That makes all the difference.
And these are things you don't even realize about yourself, because in this industry you get to just be yourself, and it's great to be recognized for being yourself. You've recognized me for being myself, which has been super important. My whole life I had people telling me I wouldn't be good in a leadership role because I'm too nice, I'm too nice, I'm too nice. And having heart-led leadership has made all the difference in my career. So I thank you so much for being here with us. It's very, very important. I'm glad I got to interview you today. And yeah, we all appreciate you, Larry, at Tricoci University.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.